G'day, welcome to Say It With Guitars. I'm your host, Pete Cornelius. Each episode, I'll be digging deep and getting to hang with some of Australia's finest guitar pickers, songwriters, producers, collectors, and makers. I look forward to bringing you these fun conversations, and I hope you enjoy Say It With Guitars. Yes, hello groovers. Thank you again for joining us. Season 2, it's going swimmingly, having a great time. Great time talking to people and bringing our conversations to you lot, the listeners, the people, taking it to the street. Speaking of taking things to the street, I'm actually hitting the road again for the next few weekends, heading to Victoria for a show with my friend Jane MacArthur. She's releasing a record, and I played one track on the record. And yeah, I'm going to be playing in her live band. And the weekend following, I'm going to be heading up to Queensland for the Mudgeeraba Blues Rock event with some pretty sweet bands. Really looking forward to getting some Queensland sun. Speaking of Queensland sun, our guest today, Andrew Wrigglesworth, would have just come back from Queensland from the Gympie Muster. So I hope you enjoy our conversation. Before we crack into today's show, I'd like to shout out to our sponsor, Mr. Billy Tarrant from Tarrant Guitars. Billy's an amazing luthier and he makes some real sweet instruments. I'm lucky enough for him to have built me a 00 size acoustic guitar, which I've dragged all around the country, and it's sounding better than ever. So yeah, check out tarrantguitars.net.au, Tassie's one-stop custom workshop for custom-made guitars, all guitar repairs and services. Let's get into the show. I'd like to welcome to Say It With Guitars today's guest, Mr. Andrew Wrigglesworth. Andrew, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Pete. How are you feeling? Feeling okay?
Yeah, I'm feeling great. Gotten over the old COVID thing and I'm back on track. So nothing like a little refresh to, batten the house down and lock yourself in for a few weeks with the fam. But we're back on track and sunny day today. So it was nice to get outside and clear the airways. How about yourself, mate? What have you been up to today?
Look, I've been doing the day job that pays for me to tour and buy more guitars and buy more and more guitars, and you know what the drill's like.
Yeah.
So it's actually lovely to sit down here and chat to you. I'm as we've spoken on correspondence and stuff. I'm a big fan of the show, so I'm deeply honoured to be a part of it and for you to ask me. So thank you so much.
No worries, man. Thank you very much for tuning in and being one of those supporters that listen to it. We've had quite a few listens. I've looked at it, the stats grow and grow over the time that I've had it out. And yeah, the support's been fantastic. Must be some real guitar enthusiast podcast nerds out there, which is it's good. It's alive.
That's
and well.
awesome, mate. Yeah. Well, yeah, absolutely. Well, you've had incredible players on the show. It's delivered beautifully. So yeah, I'm not surprised.
Cool. Look, it's just been a fun project, and that's one thing that, and I don't want to keep talking about COVID, but it's one thing that COVID kind of was a positive. It sort of made us think about other ways to not necessarily stream an income of sorts, but just to kind of network and to keep yourself active and busy in the music community. So this was one thing that I thought would be a great fun way to continue to talking to people and to grow my network and share the love of guitars to the people. So yeah, here we are, season 2.
Awesome. That's great. That's so good. So good.
So tell me, mate, we had to squeeze this one in, I wouldn't say relatively quickly, but we've been talking a little bit about hooking up for a chat. But you're off to the UK with the
we're
band.
Off to the UK.
Tell me about that.
Yes. the band being my beautiful wife Laura and my little trusty LOO Gibson. That's basically the band.
Yep,
so yeah, we're off to the UK for a month. This is the second time we've done it as the Weeping Willows. I've been over to the UK quite a bit in previous years and previous decades as well, with Lachlan Bryan and the Wilds, and
cool.
It's been a lot of fun. Yeah, did that back in the 2000s as well, and these days it's a lot more relaxing. Back then we were sleeping in vans, the old postie vans, like the Postman Pat vans. I know how to lie across the front seat. I mean, I'm 6'2". I've got a pretty incredible method for all the young guitar players out there. If you want to talk about sleeping it rough but still being able to sleep, please get in touch. I can help you find the best corners of a van that you possibly can get. But yeah, look, it's going to be a good trip. We've got a month long of gigs all over the UK and France and Switzerland, and I think we have one day off, which is a luxury these days. Yeah,
Wow.
so it's going to be good. I always get a bit nervous before I leave. Like once I'm going, it's just that the apprehension beforehand of wow, I've got all these dates to do. I've got to drive here, and I guarantee you have the same feeling that you go, oh wow, like I've got all this in front of me. As exciting as it is, and once I get going, it's fine. But it's just that sitting around going, right, I'm just going to pack my bags and get ready for this big trip. Do you feel the same way? Like when you're about to go on a big tour?
Yeah, it's really confronting and nerve-wracking, and there's so much on the line. You've worked up to that point. You're excited. You've got all your ducks in a row. You've talked to all your venues. You got your publicity, all that sort of stuff you think about, and then you're sitting around going, oh, like I guess it's just the calm before the storm, and I guess flying. Everyone's got different aspects on flying. I'm fine catching a plane, but some people get a bit freaked out, and airplanes. Things things can go. I wouldn't say wrong, but you can get delayed, and then you miss a flight, and then you've got a passport. You don't want to lose that, and there's all these sort of other obstacles that get in your way. But you've mentioned this is your second time as the Weeping Willows to head over to the UK. Are you going to revisit venues that you have already played at, or have you starting at a bigger level, or tell me about the way you set this sort of thing up.
Yeah. Well, we're completely self-managed, and I'll mention Laura a lot on this chat because she actually does organise all of the shows.
Great.
Look, we've been very lucky. We've got mates that go back and forth to the UK, so they've definitely helped out, giving us advice on where to play and things like that. But she organises the tour. So on this trip, on the second trip back in, we're definitely checking out some places that we played last time, plus some new festivals that we haven't played on before. So it's kind of a combo of going back to some places that we really loved and built. Look, we're definitely a niche market as far as music goes, and we're never going to play to the masses, but we've built a little group of people that can at least come along and I think enjoy what we do. So it's going to be, I never know, but or they can just tolerate us maybe, but I think it's just one of those cases of anywhere you play or anywhere you go, it's just building up a fan base slowly. If you can do a gig and win over one person, we've always approached it, well, that's a good thing, and that meant that we actually played fairly decent that night or something like that. So we're very much a slow burn. We're in our 40s, and we're not trying to win the world by storm in our 20s, and join the pop world, and it's all over by 24 or whatever. Yep. We just like playing in a duo together. We like playing what we do, and that's, if we don't like it, then we don't do it. That's kind of been our approach all the time.
That's a great way to attack it. Is if your gut says no, don't follow through. Sort of really trust your instincts on that stuff. And I guess it's being in a partnership, like husband-wife partnership as well, would be a real benefit in this sort of scenario where you can both work together. You work probably together at home, have a cup of coffee in the morning and sort of have a little quick chat about like, oh, did you do this last night, or I did this, or I talked to this person, and stuff like that would be really handy, because I think it's the modern world we live in. We don't just like clock on at 9 and finish at 3. Like as artists, we're always on. Someone pings a little message on Instagram.
Yes.
Someone pings a message on Messenger, and then it's like, oh, I better reply to that before I forget. And then all of a sudden it's like midnight, and that sort of stuff just happens all the time. And it's, it's a pro and it's a con. Like it's just the world we live in.
Yeah.
So to be,
it's true. I mean,
yeah. Sorry.
I was just going to say, you're so right. It's just the way the world goes. There's pros and cons to it. I mean, I think the pro is that you have complete control over what you do and what, where you play, and hopefully for other people's cases, it is for us that we have control over the music and we own the music. And yeah, we're never going to make a lot of money out of it, but I think I can confidently say that we've never walked into, none of us, yourself included, and any guitar player, I don't think we've ever walked into it to play guitar and play music and make lots of money. It's been about, can we keep improving? Can we keep playing better gigs? As long as we've been able to get by, then, great. If we can break even one day, that'd be really cool.
Yeah. 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 Like you said, that's part of the gig, isn't it, that you sign up to? It's like, yep, cool, I'm going to learn some new skills. I'm going to get better on my instrument, potentially, hopefully. And I'm going to travel and I'm going to meet some great people, and it's the lifestyle that we've sort of chosen. We've given up to that, And, that's where I met you guys, was down here in Tassie. You were touring around. And, if you hadn't come to Tassie, perhaps I wouldn't have seen you guys. I've met up with you guys in Tamworth before, but like if we don't travel, we don't meet people, we don't do gigs, we don't expand our horizons. So I think it's a wonderful thing to be able to sing your song and get it out there, and it's a wonderful thing.
It's very, very true. I was actually just racking my brains before we got online about, I was trying to remember the year that we met up and in Tassie, because I think it's about, I was thinking about 2016, and that was, I think that was the first time around. I'd heard you playing before, but like seeing you actually play in person, I reckon it was about 2016.
Yeah, I reckon you're right.
And I've been a stalker. I've been a stalker ever since. But it was down in, I think it was down in Swansea. I think that's what it was down there, wasn't it?
It was I think it was at the Springvale at the Vineyard there. I think Ange Boxall was doing a show, and you guys had met Ange before somewhere on the road, and it was just like a double bill in this little vineyard sort of beer garden sort of vibe, or wine garden perhaps. I remember it too, because I was playing, it was the worst lug in the world. I played pedal steel and drums in her band.
Yeah.
It's like, don't do that, kids. If you're going to play one thing, don't play pedal steel and drums at the same gig. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Ages. I really enjoyed, I bet it did. I just to rub it in, it was really tough just putting my little Gibson into the case and locking it. Like, that was tough work for me.
No. You guys are great. And I really have been enjoying listening to your music. I've heard it over the years and I've been into it, but it's nice to actually listen to it with a bit more purpose for the last week, leading up to our interview for today.
Thank you.
And just hearing the way that the songs have, I wouldn't say developed, but you sort of created, it sounds like you sort of found your own voice a bit more in the last few records, sort of sounds, I don't know whether it's more honest or I have no idea, but it just sounds like you've sort of settled into a groove and you're smashing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think...
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Working with... Because I know that your last record, the Reap What You Sow record, you guys went over to the States to do that. How does that kind of thing come about? Like, is that something you work towards, or you sort of like have a chat with a producer or a studio engineer, or throw some ideas around. Because there are great studios here in Australia, but it's part of the experience, getting to work with some Grammy Award-winning people. Like, tell me about that. Like, how does that come about, and the intent behind it and all that stuff?
Yeah, definitely. So we've been very fortunate to record two records with Ryan Freeland, and he's got an incredible list of artists he's worked with over his career. Probably most notable is Bonnie Raitt. And he's just a little segue. He's told some incredible stories when we were in the studio about his time with Bonnie, including actually, just to segue for a tiny second, when we were mixing and editing with him, I was sitting in this really fancy like studio chair, like, you know, the ones that you can literally like adjust it so you're upside down. Like, it's one of those like multi-level ones, right?
Yeah.
And he said, I'm sitting there, and Ryan's looking at me. He said, "You like that chair, do you?" I said, "It's really comfy, you know." He said, "You know, Bonnie bought that for me because when they were mixing her record, she was sitting on this chair, and she's like, this is a really uncomfortable chair." And he's like, "Well, I sort of can't really afford it, you know, get a flashy chair." And the next day, sitting on his doorstep is this like $2,000 chair from Bonnie.
Wow.
Well, that's pretty cool.
That's a great story.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, going back to the album. So we recorded a couple of records with Ryan, and look, I can't actually really explain why, but it's always been a dream from the very start for us to record first of all, one record in America. Yeah. We actually started going over there. I've been going over to the US off and on since 1999, and I've always wanted to do it. I think it's just that kind of mothership, you know, of the music that we all listen to. Yeah. And just the feeling of doing it. I know it's silly in a way because, like you said, there's the most incredible studios in Australia, but it's being able to work with different people, and I think it puts some pressure on as well. I think it puts some pressure on to be ready to go in because we were determined to do it all. Or at least our parts do it live and just do takes rather than kind of comping stuff. So, look, we listened to a lot of Ryan's records, like there was Milk Carton Kids, Bonnie Raitt records, Over the Rhine. Just that list goes on, Joe Henry stuff.
Oh, yeah, and, Joe Henry, Ray LaMontagne, Justin Townsend. Rodney Crowell.
It's just the most incredible... Yep, Rodney Crowell. Like, it just goes on and on and on. Yep. And honestly, it was as simple as Laura said, "Look, I'm just going to send him an email."
Cool.
And she sent him an email and said, "Look, you know, this is what we do. This is what we've already done. We'd love to record with you." And he wrote back within a few hours, and he's like, "Let's make it happen."
Fantastic.
That was actually as simple as and it was obviously the next step was the really, really tricky step was trying to work out logistics and how to get there and how to do it all and then get musicians and all that sort of thing. So we were really lucky, and so that previous record that we did before darkness comes a calling was with Ryan, and we just learned so much in the studio. We had the incredible David Pilch in the studio with us playing double bass, who once again he's played with Bonnie, he's played with Katie Lang for the last 30 years.
Wow.
So to have him in the studio as a session player was just like incredible. So that experience back in 2015 was just amazing. So we were like, we have to do another one. So we actually we refinanced and refinanced our house to be able to do a record that we've probably sold 100 copies of, but we've got to do it again because I think we're better now. Yep. We can go in, and I think we're just trying to prove to ourselves that we could go back in and do a better record. Yeah. So we did the same thing with Ryan, and we did it kind of crazy. Like, we almost booked it in for March 2020, and we ended up doing it just before Christmas in 2019. So I mean, if we'd waited, we would have got caught in the COVID storm.
Totally. Wow.
So it's a good thing we did it. So we did it basically we recorded the record before Christmas. It was kind of incredible. Do the record, fly home, have Christmas. You know, we've got an American recorded record on our hands, and it was really cool. So look, really, just recording with someone at that level that Ryan is, I just think that yes, it was expensive to do it, and certainly not practical of all the thousands of dollars just to get there.
Yeah.
But it's something I can look back on, you know, and go, well, you know what, we did that,
Yep.
and it was an incredible experience, and it's part of my musical scrapbook, as I call it, you know,
Right.
that I can say, well, yeah, I had the honor of recording with I think he's a 6-time Grammy award-winning engineer, and that's I don't know, it was a really special experience, and I think he did a great job. And he played. It was in the end, Ryan ended up playing piano accordion on like 8 of the 9 tracks. So
Right.
it actually was. It was in the end. We kind of dragged him into that. So it was. Yeah, it was an incredible experience, and I hope we can do it again one day. But I don't think we can keep refinancing the house.
Yeah.
There'll be nothing left.
That's so cool though, and to work with someone like that, and like you said, the pressure that it puts on you to perform and to get your end of the bargain sort of up to standard, up to their scratch, you know, but just to mingle as well, to network and to sort of hang out with these sort of people and learn from the pros, and you know, it's apart from the financial burden, the rest of it's rest of it's gain, totally. And have you guys been back to the States, or you got plans to go back there for any touring and stuff like that to help push the record? Because it must have been tricky having a record on your hands during that time where you couldn't tour, you couldn't do shows to promote it. It was like, I've got this product, but we can't get out there and sell it. Like,
yeah. It's so true. We actually delayed it a couple of years in the end. We're originally going to release it in 2020. Then everything happened that we will not speak of, and then came into 2021 and went, oh, things are great now, isn't that awesome? And then it wasn't. So we delayed it again, and because we're a touring act, so it just didn't. It was just not. It was just a complete waste of a record to release it when we're in lockdown and we can't go anywhere. So we ended up releasing it last year, and look, luckily we actually did a heap of touring last year. Luckily, you can't see I've got a lot more grey hair since last year. But yeah, we managed to go to the States last year and do a run, which was great, and just rekindle some friendships as well. And we really just did a month of playing all the venues that we love in the States, and that was incredible to be able to do that again. So future-wise, definitely we'll be back in the States either the end of this year or early next year. So it's going to be good. It's going to be good fun.
And how do you go when you're in the States? Do you try and hook onto a headline act and be a supporting act on a tour, or do you guys like try and headline your own shows, or do you kind of mix it up a bit? How does that work for you guys?
So we definitely mix it up. Been fortunate to play some festivals as well, like some really cool little folk festivals. Highly recommended if you get a chance to get out to sort of East Tennessee. The Louie Bluey Festival in September is awesome.
Great.
That's a great festival to play. Some of the most incredible musicians I've seen have played there, and they're all kind of local musicians there.
Sure.
So we played festivals. Done some supports. Attempted to do some sort of our own main shows. Some places we've managed to build a little bit of a crowd, like enough to at least fill a small like listening room.
Great.
Over there.
Yep.
So it's always tricky, and I mean it's kind of. I feel like it's getting even harder at the moment, but we kind of try and mix it up anyway. And it's great to be on the road with other musos, as you know very well, and be inspired. And every, if you're playing with, it depends who you're playing with, but it always it mixes up and it changes. And some people tour differently. So it's kind of, I actually like that. I like the feeling of it being a mixed sort of mash of different personalities and different music. So
yeah.
And
especially as a duo, you can sort of weave in and out of that sort of quite comfortably, I imagine. You're not towing like 3 or 4, 5 personalities around and, wearing thin on each other, whereas you guys are like thick as thieves. You go, all right, cool.
Yeah.
We're just going to hire a car and we'll see you at the show, instead of having to...
That's definitely the easier part of being in a duo, and it's a lot cheaper to tour as well. And like you said, you even though if you could be the best friends in the world, you get tired and people start missing people at home and everything. Playing in a band can sometimes get a little bit sort of tiresome, and people get on each other's nerves. So I think the good thing about traveling as a duo that you can just sort of do your own thing, and that's what we found has been really good. That other people have had to wait around, and we're like, cool guys, like great to see you. We'll catch you tomorrow. We're going back to our hotel, and we're going to watch. Back in the day, we're going to go and watch Letterman or something. So I think I do love this method of touring, and dare I say, Laura and I get on really well most of the time on tour. So it's very little that we sort of argue about while we're on the road.
Yeah, that's great. And it really is amazing what music can do. Like if you have a great show, it can keep you going for another week. It's like, fills you up full of good vibes and energy, and like if there wasn't music, you probably wouldn't do it.
Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah, it's like a release.
So true. Yeah, I'm. Yep, absolutely. I totally agree. Like if you have a great gig, like that one good gig, even if it's like you play really well in front of 10 people who love what you do and really giving back a lot, that can make up for like the 5 other crap gigs you did the night, the few nights before. Yeah. So I totally agree. And if it wasn't for that like natural drug, I mean, why would we do it?
So let's talk about some of your guitar influences, mate. Like, how long have you been playing your instrument, and also how long have you been kind of on the acoustic fingerstyle approach? Like, do you play electric at all, or are you kind of like 100% devoted to your double O, fingerstyle?
Absolutely. These days, I don't play a lot of electric guitar. And in all honesty, I leave the amazing electric guitar playing up to people like yourself and my dear friend Damien Caffarella, who I adore, and I love seeing him play electric. So look, I definitely played more electric in the earlier days when I was playing with Lachlan and things like that. But I'm just one of those people that I could never get my head around really getting good amp sounds and pedal sounds. So I would just be that awful idiot that would have a Telecaster and I'd plug it straight into the amp and go, oh, well, it's loud enough, and I'll play my parts. And there's so much more to it. It's such a beautiful art to get the tone right, to have the right pedals, depending on who you're playing with. And it took me years to realize that it's a real art. So that's just, there's too many brain cells involved there for me to work that out. So I play guitar. I play electric guitar at home for my own fun, but I don't really play gigs as such on electric. Sure. The acoustic has always been my passion. So I remember I started playing when I was nearly 14 at school, and it was one of those funny things where I don't know if you had to do this, but at school they would make you do like a music test. And they would say, Andrew, you got this score, so you'll be really good at playing like the saxophone.
Oh, right.
Did you ever get that?
No.
Maybe it was just my school. It was a good way of recruiting people for instruments that no one wanted to play.
Yeah, right.
So
you'd be great at the bassoon.
I got Andrew, you'll be really good at playing the trombone. That's right. You'll be really good at playing the trombone. I said, I kind of want to play guitar. And they're like, oh, no, you won't be very good at that. You'd be really good at playing the trombone. And I'm like, look, I'm just going to play the guitar anyway. So I started playing guitar, and it was the 90s, so everyone was playing like Nirvana and stuff. And I sort of, got my fingers around it okay. And I was like, oh, yeah, this is okay. This is all right. And then I remember the point where I actually went, oh, wow, okay. It was Australia Day concert, 1995, and they used to have the live on TV My Music Bowl Australia Day concert, and Tommy Emmanuel played.
Yep.
And that was it. That was like the light switch, just something happened. And I was like, I've got to try to learn how to play that style. And it sort of went from there. Like I started, buying his CDs.
Yep.
Back for the young kids out there, those round things that you put into a machine. Bought all of his albums, went to all the concerts. I embarrassingly used to send him cassette tapes of me playing like really badly, like trying to play his songs. And he would always write back, which was awesome. He would write back to me, or it would, and I'm sure he didn't remember, but I would go to a gig and I'd be like, oh, I sent you a tape last week, Tommy, and he'd say, yep, I got your tape. I remember that. That was great, mate. Just keep it up, and which was so inspiring for me. Like that was just like, wow, like I can't believe someone who I really idolized has taken the time to actually be positive and say, just keep it up. And that actually fueled my fire really to keep going.
Fantastic.
So it's kind of like, the early days, like, these days with YouTube, you put in a particular song or artist and it gives you like recommendations. Back then it was like you listen to an artist that you love and then you read about their influences. So you go and check out what they were into. So for me, it was Tommy, and then it went into Chet Atkins, and then it went into Mel Travis, and then it went into Doc Watson.
Yeah.
And it sort of I kind of more and more went the more traditional way. And then from there I discovered like Hank Williams and the sort of the more songwriting aspect of it, and then Appalachian music. So it kind of, it really streamed from Tommy Emmanuel and then kind of went down this, I guess, a little bit more traditional path.
Yep.
And I've just always loved the fingerstyle thing. I've always loved the challenge of making arrangements for just the one guitar thing. I've just maybe it's just an ego thing or something, I don't know. But I just the challenge of going, well, it's just me, and I need to make it really, or try to make it sound interesting. How can I do that? Do I play chords or moving bass line or harmonics or whatever it is? So that's kind of that's kind of where it all started. And me still trying to just find just interesting ways around that traditional style still.
It's a great way to to have the tradition of fingerstyle guitar as your template perhaps, but then going, okay, cool, how can we make this contemporary, or how can I put my stamp onto it, or how can I sound like Doc Watson in this song, and then maybe I'll try and sound like Mel Travis in the next song, or maybe I'll play a Tommy Emmanuel's inspired thing. All that sort of stuff comes. It's such a great challenge, but it's also, I think it's natural progression of your instrument. Hey, they like to sort of to find an influence or a mentor perhaps, and then retrace their steps and stuff like that. Did you have someone to show you? Like, did you have a teacher or anyone to sort of show you bits and pieces, or did you have like the Tommy Emmanuel guitar VHS that I know that was doing the rounds in the 90s?
Yes. It was, wasn't it? The up close video.
Yeah.
I definitely use that a lot, and I was lucky that Mum and Dad had a really old VHS player, and it had a frame button, so you could push the frame button, and it would actually put it in slow motion.
Right.
So I could, that was an amazing thing. I mean, it would completely damage the tape because it would kind of, it would sort of stretch the tape. But I would hold the frame button, and it would slow it all down so I could watch his fingers. So I used that video so much. That was a big breakthrough. I think that was when I started using a thumb pick as well. There was that video of talking about the boom chick, if you remember that kind of boom chick thing, where he would talk about alternating the bass and putting melody in and putting a harmony in or chords within the whole sort of ingredient. So definitely, I use the video a lot. I did have some great teachers, but it was interesting. Like I was one of those kids that I would go into a guitar lesson and they would show me something that had nothing to do with Tommy songs or that style, and I'll just go off and learn that. And then I think it was I played somewhere like a high school thing, and my teacher came along to support me just to watch, and he's like, I played a Tommy song, and he's like, I never realized that you like this stuff. Why didn't you say anything? And it was that kind of, I think, right. Teenagers that are kind of that whole, I'm going to do it myself and I'm not going to tell anyone. I'm going to be really secretive about it. So I kind of, it was really silly because, like I said, I had these great teachers over the years that I think probably I would have been able to get around those songs a lot quicker had I gone to my lesson and said, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I just really separated that. That was like what I did and sat at home with the frame button and Tommy videos and stuff. And then I would go into my lesson and do something completely different. So I guess it's sort of like I was self-taught with it, but I kind of wasn't, if you know what I mean. Like it was sort of a weird sort of hybrid.
Well, it's funny when you're in that early development stage of not only of your instrument, but as a young person, you're so influenced by your surroundings, like the peer pressure of, say, learning something that the other kids might think is quite cool. Like, I don't know on your take of it, but like when I was listening to the sort of music that I'd like at school, I'd be like, I might just keep this to myself because,
yes.
when I was playing blues guitar as a 12, 13, 14-year-old at school, I was like, ostracized pretty much. I was like, that guy's weird, plays that weird music. He's some Nirvana.
Yeah, exactly.
So you sort of give in a bit. And you kind of like, but it's good because it broadens your horizons on the instrument. You play different things, you learn about different tones and different, I guess, subgenres of music and all that sort of stuff. To actually sit down and learn what you want to learn, I think takes devotion, and but it's the kind of thing that when you find yourself, like, when someone shares you some music, like, oh, check this out. Listen to this, they're great. So you listen to it and you sort of think, oh, yeah, that's okay. But if you find something yourself, like even if you found that artist another year later and you go, oh, I just found this artist. It's like, well, I showed you about it like a year ago. And until you find it yourself, that's kind of like when I think it really sinks in and becomes part of your being, I reckon.
Yep. I totally agree. Yeah. Yeah, and I think it becomes a part of you, and also it's it's that satisfaction that you've actually done it yourself and no one else has helped you with it, Yeah. Like I said, even though they might have shown it to you like a month before or something. There is something about that. And I think, once again, I think I was that kind of stereotypical teenager that I thought that I knew best, and it took me a long time to realise that there was other people out there that wanted to help, and I've apologised to them since. I said, I was really awful, as a teen. Like, yeah, you were, but you're okay now.
Yeah, you've come good. So, how do you go about practicing? Like, do you have a regime, or do you sort of just pick it up and see what happens, or what's the way that you go about practicing? Do you sort of like have integrated schedules, or do you kind of just have things to learn, or you just noodle? What's the way that you attack practice?
It's all a bit different. Like, it depends on if we're looking at writing music. Like, if we're going through a period, we're like, oh, we should maybe look towards working on new material for another record. It'll be very much like you said, noodling, like just sort of listening to so much music, as much music as I possibly can. I find that, I don't know if you find this as well, but just really inspires me to just listen to or attempt to play differently, I guess. That's probably the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
So listening a lot. If we're kind of like between touring and I'm just coming home from work and just playing, like I'll just pick songs that I just really want to keep trying to learn how to play. I've got this book that I got honestly 20 years ago. It's a Stephen Bennett book, and he's one of my favourite fingerstyle players. He plays the harp guitar as well. Have you seen those harp guitars? Those like it's like a double neck basically. You've got a normal guitar and then you've got the big bass. Yeah, so he plays a 6-string, he plays a harp guitar, and I've got this book that's got all of his transcriptions on it, and I still to this day try to play the 6-string guitar stuff badly, but it's just something that I just keep going back to. Like I won't play it for a while and then I'll go back to it when I've got some time.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something that I do is just playing songs and that I just really love and want to keep working on. And also just listening to songs that I love, even if it's just like pop songs, and trying to work out arrangements for fingerstyle. A lot of the time because as I mentioned before, a dear friend of mine, Damien Caffarella, we get together and play acoustic guitars. We have Tuesday nights, whiskey and guitars, we call it. And we just get together. We've both got beautiful Collings acoustics, and we just get together and go, well, let's try and make some arrangements for a duo, just instrumental guitar music.
Great.
So I guess I'm always sort of thinking, well, if we do, that song's got a beautiful melody, how do we try and arrange it? And so that's something else that I'll sit there for ages and just have Logic up basically and just record little ideas of the arrangement and go, well, cool, and where's the harmony, and try and work it out. What will Damien play? What will I play? And then I sort of record that, send it to him and recommend that he plays the part that I don't want to play. And then we sort of compromise and work something out. But that's a big chunk of my practice these days, is just trying to work out arrangements for just even like, standard like top 20 songs from the 60s or 70s, like a lot of Beatles stuff and things like that. So it's pretty haphazard for me now. But yeah. Well, what about yourself actually? Well, how do you sort of practice? I know you've got so many things on, but how do you approach practice these days?
Yeah, it's one of those things. I try and learn songs. Like I might hear something that sort of pricks my ear. Any sort of genre, like you said, pop, rock, folk, country, swing, jazz, whatever. I'll just go, cool. So I'll get totally focused into that for a while. Like, and everything else just sort of flies away in the background. But I kind of like pinpoint myself towards a certain song or a certain style of music for a day or a week or a month, whatever. So I'll kind of try and learn stuff like that to sort of stretch my fingers in different positions and like get yourself out of comfort zones. I probably should play more acoustic at home. Like it's, it's ideal because it's unamplified. You pick it up, bang, there's no cable. Yeah. Off you go. But in my lounge room, I've got like 13 guitars on the wall in the main room.
Wow.
It's great. My brother-in-law is an architect and he designed our house for us. For the price of an SG. I bought him an SG because he loves Angus Young. So he designed our house.
Great deal.
And he designed this wall. He's like, you want to put some guitars in the house, right? I was like, yeah, of course I do. So he's like, all right. So he's designed this like low, long window. And then above it, I've got all my guitars. So they don't get any sunlight. And I sort of treat them as artwork, So it's like, I'm just putting some art on the wall that I can interact with. And so I've got these beautiful, electric instruments just so and most of them are kind of like arch-toppy, sort of semi-hollow. So they kind of, I can play them unamplified as well. So so that's kind of my, it's a blessing and a curse, like, of course I'd prefer to have acoustics everywhere, but the electrics take pride in the house. But then it's like you're saying about tones. It's also the search for like different sounds, and with different genres comes different sounds, and different players have different approaches to overdrive or to boost sort of tremolos or to delays, stuff like that. So I might go down a rabbit hole one week and go bananas on a particular player. Like at the moment, maybe a week ago I finished putting together like a Cuda caster, like the Rycuda style Stratocaster with a Valco sort of lap steel pickup in the bridge and gold foil in the neck. So that was a whole lot of fun putting it together. But now I'm like going, cool, this is the guitar I've been listening to. Let's try and play some Rycuda inspired sort of stuff. So that's awesome. That's kind of how I approach it. I don't really look at it as in here's a scale, here's a mode. Let's just go up and down it. I try and keep it creative. Like maybe if I do sit down, if I do have the chance to sit down for an hour, I'll go, okay, cool. Here's 5-10 minutes of just fooling around. Here's like 40 minutes of getting to work, doing the business, getting this new song or this new technique under my fingers, and then like maybe the next 10-15 minutes I'll kind of go, all right, cool, let's noodle again for another bit. So it's not all just like serious, like head down, bum up stuff. It's like, let's have some fun. But I remember talking to Decaf about it, and he was saying how he records a lot of his practice. So if he sits down at home, he'll just like noodle and press record on his phone. So he's got a reference every time he picks up his instrument. So, I remember that time I did that particular thing. So he's like documenting all this stuff as well, which I think is a fantastic idea, but I'm just a bit, you sort of need to be good at digital file keeping for that kind of stuff, I think.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I think, Damien, you're right. He just, that's like one of the most incredible ways of practicing is to record everything. And the amount of times that we've got together and he's like, I've actually got this idea for a song. It was from a jam I did on Sunday morning or whatever. Yeah. And I'm like, you recorded your jam on Sunday morning? Yeah, I record every day. Like he just gets in. He's got everything set up in his home studio. He walks in, presses record, and starts practicing. He just keeps it running. Yeah, I think that's an incredible way of doing it. I'm the same. I just couldn't be able to. I wouldn't be able to catalog everything, and it would just be a case of I'd probably get too lazy and go, I just want to sit on the couch and play my acoustic, So, I think for me that's never going to happen, but it's definitely a great way of doing it. It's an incredible way of doing it.
Yeah, it's devotion. I think it's great.
Yeah, absolutely. I still think, though, your way of doing it, like breaking up, your time of going, I'm going to, noodle versus work on this song, bit of noodling at the end to kind of, sort of calm and everything. I think that's incredible. I'm learning a lot. I'm learning a lot from tonight.
Yeah. Look, it's just one way that I think keeps it interesting. And I kind of try and tell my students as well. I've got a few students still I teach here from home, and I want it to be fun. You have to learn stuff, obviously, and it has to be tricky. To advance, you need to actually test your limits and make things hard. But you don't just want to be like have this dark cloud of this is too hard, over your head. You want to be able to go, cool, I've got this. Let's have some fun. Let's have a bit of a challenge, but then like enjoy it. So I think that's a good way to do it. Everyone's got different approaches, and I'm not saying my way is the best. Definitely. I think I heard about it anyway from another podcast I listened to. They talked about that kind of percentage of work and play.
Yeah. Awesome.
So let's have a little chat about your instrument. Let's nerd out on the guitar itself. So you've been playing that Gibson 00. Is that the main instrument, or have you got a few of the same shape and size?
Yeah,
and all that stuff?
I've got like I started off in the earlier days. I mean, if you're into Tommy Emmanuel, you bought a Maton. Yeah. And I've still got a couple of Matons now. My first Maton was a EBG 808, and that kind of more smaller bodied guitar. And so I guess for me, I've always been into more the smaller body guitars, but later got into the more, I guess, what you call them, more the parlor sort of style guitars. So my Gibson I've had for it for about maybe 11 or 12 years now. It's on its second set of frets now. It's drowned. It's got left going through customs. It got they opened the case up at Sydney Airport, and then a massive storm came over, and so it was going through customs and luggage transfer or whatever. Left the case up, and it absolutely chucked chucked it down on it. So when I got the case back, I opened up the case and it was literally swimming in water. So it survived that, which was amazing. We were doing a video clip and I had it strapped on and the strap lock went on it and it fell and hit it was like a gravel road that we were doing a video clip for. So it went face down. Luckily it was fine. It's had a really tough life.
Yeah.
But I just think it's a beautiful guitar. So in fact, that's my main instrument as far as playing live.
Yep.
So I just love it. I love it. It's small. It's nice to play. It's kind of like a weird hybrid Gibson. They made those Blues Kings. It's actually called a Blues King.
Yep.
So they made them I think they started making them like a reissue in the 90s and then they stopped and then they made them again in the 2000s. And now they've got some other weird name they call them, but they're not a Blues King anymore. But it's kind of like a hybrid. So it's actually got a skinny neck where I know those early, like the 30s Gibsons had the big chunky
big boat necks,
didn't they? Yeah. Like the V. Yeah, big. Well, this one doesn't have a big boat neck. I actually don't think I could get my fingers around it if it did. So I just love that guitar, and I've got it permanently tuned down half a step.
Oh, interesting. You're right.
The reason behind that was just because just when we were trying to find keys and stuff, we would be moving the capo around, and I'd be like, but I kind of want to still play in the first position, the big, a G chord or whatever. Yeah. And so it just got to that point where like, well, we actually want to do this song in G flat.
Yeah.
So instead of moving a capo up or something, let's actually I'll just play a G and it's actually down a half step.
Yeah.
So it just got to the point where I just permanently had it like that because I was always traveling with one guitar. So instead of having to retune all the time, I just got used to it. So that's the Gibson's the main guitar these days.
Did you have to change your action or the strings to compensate for that lack of tension?
Yes, yeah. Yep. So I've got a pretty high action, and that's something that I know Damien and I talk about a lot. That you should have a high action because there shouldn't be any rattle or anything like there shouldn't be any tone that's lost just because you're setting things up differently. So I think, I've got a massive action on it. So it's pretty high. Apart from that, it's all just stock. Yeah, like I say, it's on its second set of frets. I haven't changed the pickup or anything. It's just a standard Gibson pickup on it.
Yep.
But it just works for what we do. And it's been funny to do some of the bluegrass stuff where everyone's got high end, big dreadnoughts, big Martins, incredibly, handcrafted stuff. And then I walk up with my Gibson. I've even had a few people say, I think the blues tent's down the road, mate. That's kind of. But look, I like it, and I think it, considering what it is, and it's not modified or anything really. It does the job well for me. It sounds nice acoustically. It sounds decent plugged in. I wouldn't say amazing, but it sounds okay.
Yeah,
doing what we do. I mean, I still think plugging a guitar in. Well, there's going to be limitations there.
Yeah, and
that's just the way I see it. But I think so. But look, I really love that guitar. I had for a long time, I had a Gibson Hummingbird as well. So that was my first big guitar. And even though I love the tone of it, I just couldn't, I felt like I always struggled to play it. Like I would just, felt so big and clumsy, and it was a great strumming guitar, but I wanted to do I want to do fingerstyle and stuff on it. And I was just like, no, I don't think this is for me. And so traded that in, and by some sheer luck, Damien actually had a Collings that he bought from a friend, and I fell in love with that guitar. And sheer luck, through lockdown, a left-handed Collings popped up on Facebook Marketplace of all places. Can you believe it? So it was, left-handed was a custom shop one, and so I managed to get that for a pretty decent price, considering that they're usually pretty expensive as well.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's kind of like I've only done like a couple of gigs with the Collings. It's kind of my home guitar. It's the one that I get together with Damien, but I don't put it through anything serious. Like the Gibson gets the knocks and the flooding and the everything else. The Collings, no way. Like it's, it's my sacred sort of guitar.
Yeah.
It's a precious guitar. So look, I don't have a lot of guitars. I tend to, like, if I really love something, I'll keep it. But otherwise, if it doesn't work for me, I'll trade it in. Like I'll use the money for another instrument. But I'm not, I guess I'm not really a collector as such. Like I sort of see them as tools. I go, well, I'd be devastated if something happened to a guitar, but I still see it as I'm a tradesman and it's a tool that I need to use to make a noise.
Yeah.
So I've actually sold lots of guitars over the years and bought a guitar that's ended up being something that I use instead of having it sitting there. I'm like, that's a really nice guitar, but I'd pull it out of the case once a year or something.
Yeah.
I don't see the point. I'd rather have someone else out there buy it and play it than have it sit there and just look pretty. So
100%.
Yeah, I've only got really a few guitars that I use all the time, and it's really the Gibson and the Collings. That's kind of they're my guitars that I play every day.
Yep. And it's great that the Gibson has that role of being the workhorse. It's the one that gets all the dings and the character scratches and stuff like that, because something about your approach to an instrument, once it's sort of like got its first ding or its first little scratch, the way you're sort of not scared to actually get in there and play it. I've got a few nice old vintage guitars here, which I love the sound of and I love to play them, but I'm a little bit restrained. I feel like, I've been not like do this particular bend or like really strum hard, even though I might want to, like I might want to just go crazy on this thing, but I think, I'll put that back on the wall. I'm going to get this other thing that's already like smashed to pieces and have a good time with that. So I think, you definitely need instruments that suit a particular approach. Like if it's your tool of trade and it's the one that you fly with, that's the one you play live, that's the one, like that's, and I guess being a Gibson as well, it's like, it's not boutiquey. You can take it to a store. They've probably got something to fix it with. It's like buying a Commodore when you're touring around Australia. As a young musician, it's like, okay, cool. That Commodore's. I can get a radiator hose at the milk bar. Like no worries, all good. It's not going to be boutiquey.
Yeah, definitely. And look, and I still love the Maitons a lot. I just I think the stuff that Laura and I work on together just seems to work better for the tone of a Gibson. It's got that, a lot of Gibsons have that tone where you can just pick it, you just know what it is. And it just works better that way. That's just why I sort of got into it. And I know when I went to buy another acoustic that lots of other friends had J45s and stuff like that. So I like J45s, but I just always really enjoyed playing a smaller guitar. Yep. And it doesn't make sense. I mean, I'm 6'2", so it looks like a ukulele on me, but it's just a nice guitar. I find it a nicer guitar to play, and I love the neck on it. And I just think it's like you said, just a workhorse that so far, dare I say, it's had nine lives already, but it's actually it's still going.
That's great. Has it held up? There's no cracks or sort of binding issues with it, or everything's all sweet?
No, I've had it. Yeah, I've had it looked at by a few people, and I mean the finish on it is all like it's all kind of clouded from the water. Right. Like it's got that, being sort of water stained and everything. Luckily, no water by some sheer miracle got on the inside of it when it got drowned. But yeah, I had the binding looked at as well, and yeah, it's just been lucky. And like I said, probably just had it's 9 lives. So yeah, fingers crossed it keeps going anyway.
It'll keep going. It'll sound better than ever. I think that's part of the joy of having an instrument like that, where that it does create a few battle scars and Yeah, and you'll look back and go, I remember that time I drowned in Sydney Airport, and remember that time we did this, film clip and it dropped, and, soldiers on.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's all part of it.
Yeah, exactly.
So do you have any
Very true.
do you have any little onboard effects? Not onboard like on the guitar itself, but I mean, like, do you have a signal chain that you like to sort of turn up at a gig with, or do you just like bring a clip-on tuner and plug into the house DI? Like, have you got a preferred way to plug it in?
I should really be a lot more knowledgeable with this, but I do basically rock up and plug in, and sometimes that works well, and other times it's a complete disaster. Depends on the sound guy. I mean, we all know this. But yeah, look, I mean, I literally have my Boss pedal tuner.
Yep.
I just plug into whatever DI is available. It goes straight into the PA. I've tried to sort of branch out a little bit and look into other, using different DIs and EQs and stuff. And I need to do that more. That's something I need to really work on. But at the moment, it's really very much plug and play.
Yep.
And like I said, sometimes it works, other times it doesn't. The problem is I'm at the complete mercy of the sound guy, because all that Gibson's got is a volume wheel.
Sure.
So you can turn your volume up, not even a tone. Like I haven't got any sort of control on it. So like it looks a lot prettier. I haven't got a big thing sticking on the side of it with, mic control and all that sort of thing. But it really is like, being completely at the mercy of whoever is doing sound.
Yeah.
Sometimes, it works well. Other times, it's been pretty awful, actually, if I'm honest. Yeah.
Yeah. That is one thing I've found. They are a sensitive instrument, like to acoustics in the room, and if you can have as much control as you can, it's just from my experience. I'm not saying this is what everyone should do, but I've always ran 2 pickups in the guitar, and typically, like years ago, I'd just give the sound guy 2 lines, and I try and say, DI1, DI2, this and that. It just got too hard. So I've actually ended up buying a stereo DI. It's got 2 lines in and it's got 1 line out, and it's great. It's got a really nice preamp in it. It's got parametric EQ. I think it's like maybe it's got like a 6-band sort of EQ. It's got phase on it, and like low cut and all this sort of cool stuff that comes in handy when you get to a bad room or a bad sound guy that you just so basically just go, here's my line. Here's 1 line, and I've got full control over the whole thing. And it's a lot more work on my behalf, but when you can control it yourself and give the sound person the best sound you can, I think you're in a head start. Yeah, so I'm not saying you need to do that because you've been getting a great live sound for a long time. But I'm just sort of saying it's my approach.
Look, I'm taking notes here, by the way. No, look, I it's something that I've wanted to improve on for a long time. So it's really interesting to hear people who actually have branched out and really thought about it like yourself. It's definitely something that I need to try out more and sit down with people like yourself with a coffee and pick your brain about it and muck around with it. But it's that whole at the moment it's just that better the devil you know, and just do that for now. But I'd really that's something that I would say I really would want to improve on in the future for sure.
But I guess with that comes extra bulk. If you're traveling with a guitar case, all of a sudden you've got like a little pedal bag, or you've got extra cables, you've got power cables. If you're traveling overseas, to think about different voltage. If you've got a 240 volt power pack that supplies your preamp, you got to think, is this going to be like multi-voltage, or do I need a transformer to, there's complexity with all this. So having the ability to just plug in is such a, sometimes I turn up a gig going, God, I've got all this crap. Like, look at all this stuff I've got. Like, I just want to plug in and play a song. But here I am, like an hour later, I'm ready.
It's true. Like I think for me, I got a bit sort of like lazy not looking into it. When we started doing a lot of Tamworth stuff, we would play on a 20 act bill, and you literally you'd have two songs, and you would literally walk out and grab the lead that they had on the stage, try and get your volume as best you possibly could get, and you would just play. Like there was no time to stuff around. And I've just got into that habit of just going, well, I'll just walk out and play. But yeah, I would really, I'll have to get in touch and maybe come down to Tassie and pick your brains about this for sure.
Yeah, I'm happy to talk gear anytime. No worries at all.
Awesome.
But yeah, definitely Jeff Lang was my inspiration with a lot of that stuff. He's been doing live acoustic guitars for a long time, and he loves particular parts of instruments and like how and why, and he likes putting pickups on things, and like, so he was a guy that I kind of sat down with one day and went, all right, Jeff, what am I doing wrong? What should I do?
Yeah.
What do you recommend? And then sort of taking that information and making it your own as well. Because, we don't all want to sound like, as much as I love the sound of Jeff Lang, we don't all want to sound like Jeff Lang either. So, God, there's so much about this industry that takes unraveling, doesn't it? Like, I just want to play my guitar.
Oh, so I know. I just want to get up, man, and play a song. Yeah, very true. But look, I think if you're talking to someone like Jeff Lang, which by the way, I loved the episode that you did with Jeff.
Excellent.
Yeah, I think people like that would be like the perfect source of knowledge, and obviously he's been an influence on you. So yeah, I think that's very, very cool.
Yeah. All right, so I reckon we're getting pretty close to wrapping up here, mate. Is there?
Yeah.
So
sure.
apart from the next UK tour you've got happening, actually, I reckon by the time this chat comes out, you would have probably either done the tour or you're sort of in the thick of it, I'd say.
Yeah.
Is there anything else here in Australia that people should be looking out for? Have you got any big shows coming up, or have you got some, like, how do people find the Weeping Willows, and like give us a little
stuff?
Promo of what's happening on
a spiel.
A spiel,
yep, sure.
Spiel me up.
A spiel. Basically, this year. So yeah, we do the UK. We've got a few main shows on Australia-wise. We've got Gympie, the Gympie Muster. That's in August. We've got the Broadbeach Country Music Festival, which is really great. They do the blues one as well.
Is it called Groundwater?
I'm sure you know very, very well. Called Groundwater, yeah. So they changed it. I keep saying Broadbeach, but it's Groundwater now. So Groundwater, there's a blues one and there's a country one. So we're doing the country one.
Gotcha.
So we're doing sort of those sort of shows, a few kind of local things. Probably the best way is to we've got a website, www.theweepingwillows.com.au. We're on Facebook. We're pretty active on Facebook as well. And once again, I'm not taking any credit because Laura does all of the really hard work and writes back to people, and any questions and stuff like that. That's all of her brilliance there. So we're on Facebook, and we're sort of playing all over the place, and wherever we can get a gig, really. That's kind of how we've always approached it. And we've been doing this as a Weeping Willows for the last 12 years, and we just like playing. So that's kind of the bare bones of it. Is we like playing music together, and when we stop enjoying it is when I come to Tassie and ask for more advice on. Well, maybe I'll start building pickups or something.
There you
go.
Maybe.
Yeah. But yeah, look, I just we're sort of playing all over the place, but yeah, there's a couple of main festivals anyway coming up, which will be good fun.
Do you guys ever bulk it out? I know that on the records you've got upright bass and accordions and pedal steel and all sorts of different textures and layers. Do you guys ever do that for bigger shows, or for like, things like special events or album launches, stuff like that? Do you ever sort of fatten it out?
Yeah, definitely. We've definitely done it for like album launches. We've had had a lot of friends. We've sort of we've had on stage with us. We've done a few supports before. Like it was a few years ago now. We supported Eel and Jewel, which was awesome fun. And the promoter actually said, I don't want you just to play as a duo. And I said, oh, okay, well, we kind of are a duo, but we can get another color instrument out. So we had like a mando and fiddle player, and kind of did that sort of thing. But look, the majority of the time it's just us, but it's really nice to have other people on stage and friends. And if we're in the same town or a festival at the same time with different people, that we'll get them up. So that's always good fun. I don't know if you've heard of he's an incredible player. James Church from Montgomery Church plays incredible lap steel and everything, and dobro, and so luckily our paths tend to cross with those guys quite a bit. And he played on the record, so he played all the beautiful dobro parts. So we get him up to play. So look, it's kind of that one of those things where whoever's around, we sort of ask and plead and pay and that sort of stuff to if we're around, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah, and like that's the key, isn't it? Like I think sharing what you do and having the diversity and to sort of just being able to go, all right, cool, let's just all get on stage and make a good noise, and the next night it's going to be different.
Yeah.
But speaking of friends on stage, I saw your film clip of what was the song? Is it something like Sinner's Prayer?
Was it House of Sin? House of Sin.
Yeah, with like Les Thomas as the priest gone wild. That was a great little cameo. But then you've got all your mates in the church itself, or the hall, perhaps. I'm not sure. Or the sort of juke joint vibe.
Yeah, that was incredible. That was basically like, everyone in the kind of Americana country, like alternative country scene in Melbourne was in that clip. It was pretty funny because it was actually, we filmed it 2021 when, if you remember, there was supposed to be Tamworth on in January.
Yeah, but
they cancelled it.
Yeah.
They canned it and they put it on in April instead. So all those guys were supposed to, including us, were supposed to be in Tamworth. And so everyone was kind of hanging around Melbourne, and we got in touch and said, do you just want to get together and film this clip? And even the guy who actually filmed it, Duncan Toombs, who is part of the filmery, he's always in Tamworth doing all the Tamworth stuff. We said, look, hey, do you want to come down to Melbourne and do this clip? And for him, it was actually a bit different because he tends to do more the kind of the Tamworth country stuff. So he came down to Melbourne, and we had all these people, and Les Thomas was like, he was so good that I remember when we finished filming, Duncan, who filmed it, he's like, this guy could actually be an actor. Like he's like I would actually hire him to do other clips. And I said, he's brilliant, but he's a singer songwriter, blogger, all round great preacher of local music. Yeah. And he was in the character all day. Like he took it so seriously. It was the most incredible thing, and I wish that we could share some of the outtakes and just behind the scenes, because the amount of times that he made Les sort of do the running bits. There's a shot where he's sort of running from the church and falling over and rolling over. Like I think we did that honestly about 100 times, and Les never complained. Yeah, and it was a 40-degree day. That was actually a 40-degree day.
Like it looks like it must have been a hot summer's day.
It was a hot summer. Yep, hot summer in January in Melbourne. So the guy, he was just, I'm just eternally grateful that we had a great crew of people, and particularly Les was just amazing. It was a lot of fun. That was probably the most fun I've had ever doing a video clip. It was just all of our mates and really high end crew. Definitely the highest end of a video clip we've ever done. So it was It was a lot of fun.
No, it definitely comes across on the film, and I had a good time watching that. I reckon I'll rewatch it after our chat tonight, after I've had dinner with the kids.
Mate.
Put it on for them, see
absolutely.
what they think.
Yeah.
All right, mate.
Brilliant.
I'll leave you to it. Thanks very much for making time to have a chat on the podcast, and I look forward to catching up with you somewhere down the track, Andrew.
Thank you so much, Pete. And thank you again. Like I said, I'm deeply honoured to be a part of it. So, and I'll be listening continuously to season 2 and 3 and beyond. I'm definitely a huge fan, and I think it's a brilliant thing that you're bringing a great community of different guitar players together. I think it's a really special thing. So thank you so much.
No worries, man. Appreciate it. Absolutely. All right. Take it easy.
Cheers.
Thank you. Thanks for listening, folks, to another episode of Say It With Guitars. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to the podcast, share it around to your mates, leave a good review, and hopefully we'll see you next time.